Yes, my people. Once again, it's Rockstar 860 TV. And in this episode, we'll just be taking a recap of day one and what happened in the Vybz Cartel and its co-accused, Sean Storm, Kerry Jones, Andre St. John's first day of hearings to see if it will be a retrial or an official acquittal of the men. Now, I mean, we're going to be looking at some articles from Nationwide News, also, I believe, the Star, Jamaica Star, and if possible, the Gleaner, and also the Observer. Now, I mean, those are my sources today. I'll be talking about and looking into and to see what's happening. I did a report yesterday after the deliberations for the day was done, a little quick synopsis. But today, may I talk a little bit more, and we're going to look into it and see what's on tap for today, day two. And we'll talk about day two again later in the day, and we'll talk about what happened. But right now, I'm going to just talk about what happened on day one, which was June 10th. Today is June 11th. Know what I mean? So let's get into it. Know what I mean?
The highly anticipated retrial hearing got underway promptly at 9:30 this morning. As is the norm whenever the self-styled world boss has a matter set for mention, the courtroom was packed. This led to a second room being used to accommodate the overflow of attorneys, journalists, and court staff who had gathered to read the legal tea leaves. The country's acting director of public prosecutions, Claudette Thompson, took to her feet shortly after proceedings got underway. She raised several preliminary objections to aspects of the affidavits filed by the accused men and their relatives. Two of her objections stood out. Kartel's son, Adidja Jahim Palmer, outlined in his filing that he believed his father's heart would be unable to manage a retrial due to a medical report. Kartel, whose given name is Adidja Palmer, has faced several health scares since he was incarcerated in 2014. The young Palmer alleged in his affidavit that his grandmother prays every night for his father to be released from prison. The young Palmer alleged that his father's imprisonment has affected their family life. The DPP objected. Justice Marva MacDonald Bishop agreed in part. She struck out the parts of the youngster's affidavit that spoke to his father's medical condition. She also rejected claims of alleged prayers from Kartel's mother. According to the justice, the claims amounted to hearsay and involved matters the young Palmer had no competence to speak to. The DPP's office also attempted to object to aspects of Kartel's affidavit, claiming his human rights were being violated by terrible prison conditions in Jamaica. The judge refused to uphold those objections. The judges also threw out objections to aspects of Sean Campbell's affidavit, which criticized the coverage of the matter by untrained journalists and online bloggers. Sean Storm believes that coverage has colored public perception and has brought into question the possibility of him receiving a fair retrial. His sister also alleged in her filing that the family would be unable to find the money to mount a defense if a retrial were ordered. She says in her affidavit that the Jamaican justice system would be unable to find an impartial jury to rehear the matter. Despite the acting DPP's objections, the justices allowed those aspects of the affidavit to stand. It was the affidavit of Andre St. John that raised the issue of uncertainty as to when a retrial would be held if one were ordered. The justices inquired as to whether there was a backlog of cases sent back to the Supreme Court for retrial. Having not received a satisfactory response, Justice Marva said that the judges would instruct the Registrar of the Court of Appeal to find out the status of cases where retrials have been ordered. Justice MacDonald Bishop noted that the length of time it was taking for retrials to begin was material to Kartel's case. She insisted that it was the need to be fair that led her to request the report. Defense counsel advised the judges that it would be fair if they requested a report on cases going back 6 years. The retrial matter is being heard by Justices Marva MacDonald Bishop, Paulette Williams, and David Fraser. Substantive arguments will begin at 9:30 Tuesday morning. Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News.
Yes, my people. So we just heard a report of what happened from someone who was in the courtroom yesterday. Know what I mean? And what did we hear? We hear Liquor Vybz wrote a letter with his family to the court to express their concerns about their father's health. I mean, how they feel about them having a retrial based on the family's feeling. I mean, and they brought up his health concerns. The judge accepted the letter, but some parts of the letter were stricken out, like him saying that his father can't uphold his heart to have another retrial. I mean, that's hearsay. He's not a medical official, so he can't surmise to purport to say those things. He's not a medical official. And being that he's not a medical official, common sense would tell us that he can't report to say that his father can't make it because of his health condition. You know what I mean? He don't know, in layman's term. Also, them strike out the part where him say him grandmother pray for her son every day or every night. He won't be able to know that because in reality he's not with her every day, every night to know what she does or don't do. You know what I mean? But the letter from him was accepted except those two parts because those two parts in court would be considered hearsay. Somebody is telling him something for him to go back to tell the court. And the court don't really work with hearsay. Know what I mean? So it wasn't that they threw out or throw out the medical report or medical how should I say it? Things that's happening with Vybz Kartel, their father. No, that's not it. So those people who running about them throughout medical records or the medical won't this or the medical won't that, common sense people. The little 20-year-old youth is not a doctor. He's an entertainer. He does music. He's not in the medical field. That is all the court is saying when the judge threw out that line or a few lines about his grandmother praying and his father can't make it to a new trial through his health. You know what I mean? The next thing that people was running with and up in arms about was the Sir P Politics Watch name being brought up by Sean Storm's family, his sister and his family, concerning their concerns for them getting a fair retrial if one was to happen, based on public perception, mainly bloggers or vloggers such as Sir P, On the Spot News, and those type of people who only thing they do is a negative coverage, lies they tell, theories they tell, innuendos they spew about Vybz Kartel, Sean Storm, and the co-accused. So the sister and the family has concerns about that. Because remember, a jury pool is made up of many people from all walks of life. And we don't know to the magnitude of who watches Sir P and these other vlog channels. We don't know how much people, potential jurors, have gone over to Sir P's channel and commented in his comment box under his videos. This man have millions and millions and hundreds of millions of views. Lies he has told on people, not just Kartel, but many people in Jamaica. You know what I mean? So it's concerning because you must always remember a jury is the most important part of the trial. You know what I mean? In the courtroom. Because the jury is supposed to be people just like you, the defendant. You know what I mean? Honest citizens. You know what I mean? That's what the jury is supposed to be. Because the defendant is the criminal. Somebody have to be honest. And the jury is supposed to be honest and truthful and has no feelings, has no emotions. They just look at the facts. They just hear what's being said and then they make the determination. But no, not in this. Sir P has millions of disciples out there. Millions of disciples running around spewing the rhetoric of Vybz Kartel and his men being guilty. Now I mean, we see what happened. Sir P run around and says Vybz Kartel and his co-accused are the ones that paid off the jury, tried to bribe the jury with his lawyers, Tom Tavares, in those times. And it's been proven many a times. It went to privy court, council, and it was proven that the men had nothing to do with the trying to bribe of the jury. But Sir P spews this every day, in and out, day in, day out. He says these things. Is that fair? People always say, what if it's you? What if it's your family? If it was me, if it was my family, I would want justice. I would want justice the right way. Injustice doesn't mean some get justice. Now I mean, if them do everything wrong just to make me happy, how did I get justice? You only made me happy. And who said I am happy without real justice? You know what I mean? So, Shanstam family came and they said what they said. Sir P is a big contributor to a possibility of an unfair jury. And they're not lying. So let's read into it. Sisters for incarcerated entertainer Sean Storm Campbell, has submitted that widespread discussions about the murder case on popular YouTube programs like Politics Watch will result in her brother and his co-accused not getting a fair trial if a retrial is permitted. I have seen many social media posts from bloggers like Sir P who do not conform to any of the traditional norms of journalism, who have widespread viewership, who espouse all the wildest theories which will undoubtedly influence many Jamaicans who cannot be counted on to be so entranced by the Bible voiced up and confess their bias, she said in her affidavit. Meaning, say, when them put up them right hand to God and put them left hand on the Bible, them can't say, I honestly swear to tell the truth. Because they're biased already. They've been biased for months, they've been biased for years. So they're not really telling the truth when them say, I swear to tell the truth. And nothing but the truth. So help me God. Yeah, and that she said, it's compromised. The argument was highlighted this morning by Acting Director of Public Prosecution, Claudette Thompson, during a preliminary objection in which she asked the Court of Appeal to rule that the pleading should not be allowed. However, the court was of the view that arguments about the effects of pretrial publicity should be allowed. Now I mean? Meaning say, you have to allow that because it's a jury pool. It's a jury we're talking about. So everything comes into play if you want a fair trial. I mean? Campbell's sister further submitted that she did not believe that the Jamaican court, which she described as having an inadequate jury vetting and polling system, will be able to find unbiased jurors and get them to serve. She also said it is doubtful whether any trial judge's direction could cure any consequent unfairness. Meaning say, the jury probably, if them have make up their mind already, when them come in a court, whether it's for the prosecution, them think them guilty, or whether for the defense, them think them innocent, your mind is already made up. You're just sitting there for the end of the trial to go back in the jury deliberation room to sit down for 2-3 minutes. You already make up your mind from day one. You don't hear no evidence. I doubt they have evidence, but you don't hear none of the evidence. I doubt they have evidence, but then you sit down for 2-3 minutes and you come back out in a 10 minutes guilty or not guilty. That's not fair to no one. That's not fair to justice. That's not fair to injustice. You know what I mean? That's not fair to nobody. You know what I mean? That's not fair to the prosecution. That's not fair to the defense. That's not a fair trial either way. Because people, when them talk, them believe say, oh, it's just because the defense want to get off. That's what we talk about, fair trial. So I'm to the prosecution who want to prove them guilty beyond a shadow of a doubt. Huh? I don't get what people say more times. You can't have a predetermined person coming in, whether them think the person is guilty or whether them think the person is innocent. You can't have somebody predetermined walking into the court, sitting on the jury, and then listen to whatever they listen to. In a fit their mind, them they on vacation somewhere else. Them not really pay attention in the courtroom because their minds are already made up. And that's a dangerous thing to justice. That's something dangerous to have in the courtroom. Know what I mean? And that's what they're saying. That's all they're saying. Also, meanwhile, the court has struck out arguments, like I said already, from Kartel's son about his father's health. But I'll read it anyway. Meanwhile, the court has struck out arguments from one of Kartel's son claiming that the entertainer is unable to participate in another trial because of his health. Justice Marvin McDonald Bishop, in rejecting the claim that Carter's heart could not sustain a retrial, said that the court would only be able to entertain such a claim if there was evidence from a medical expert. She also struck out the claim from the son that his grandmother prays every night for his father, noting that the court is not able to say whether he witnessed her praying. And that's fair. That's fair. Also, in the beginning report, we heard about Andre St. John's lawyers asking about retrial. How long does a retrial take? If they were to have a retrial, and the judge sent back to the Court of Supreme or Supreme Court, the lower court, to find out how long does retrials normally take in Jamaica for the last 6 years. Now, it wasn't the judge sending out for this, for that, because her mind is already made up, so she got the retrial. No, it was the defense, Andre St. John's lawyers, bringing up the matter of how long does a retrial take. Because if it's a retrial, you can have these men in jail, sitting down in prison where they are still, even though they're non-convicted, even though their convictions were thrown out by the Privy Council. You can have them sitting there for years upon years upon years, saying you're going to have a retrial, and no retrial date is ever mentioned. And these men just languish in jail like, who cares? And the defenses raised concerns to that. And the judge also agreed. And sent back to do a report. How long has retrials taken to happen if they were determined to retry a case for the last 6 years? That is it. The judge not pre or pry. She just had to do her job. She had do everything with a, what them call it? A tail point comb. I don't even know what they call it because I can't even remember it right now. A fine inch nail. You know me I talk about when them look over something in-depthly. You know what I mean? More than just scam it. Them in-depthly look upon something. And that's what the judge is doing. So that's day one. Today is day few. Late in the day you get more reports, I'm sure, from all over. You know what I mean? But hope say you like my content, my review, my report, and you follow me for some more. Rockstar 860, 860 TV. Now that's how we do it. Like the content, share the content, comment on the content. You know what I mean? Make your friends know about my channel. I'm trying to grow. I'm trying to be one of the YouTube's giants. But I'm starting from a little pata goal. You know what I mean? But anyway, big up to my 300 subscribers. We reach 300 in about a month. You know what I mean? Remember, I'm not doing no live. I just do blog. So, go on, big me up. Reach 500 soon. Know what I mean? Help me out. Know what I mean? I'm out. Freedom.